Welcome back to Lean Into Leadership. On today's episode, Noah Burks, the Dun King, joins the show. Hi everyone, welcome back to Lean Into Leadership. This is episode 10. We hit double digits. Melo's going to put in a yay kind of sound effect there. It's a big milestone episode. I'm Brandon, joined with
Melo here.
I'm Noah.
And we're going to jump into this one. So, Noah, first off, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe what you do here at Central Michigan University, your role, and what are some of your passions?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, I didn't know this was episode 10, so you hit double digits. Congratulations to you two. That's awesome. But yeah, my name's Noah. I work in the Office of Student Activities and Involvement. And so my primary role as the Assistant Director of Student Activities / Marketing is to plan large-scale events for CMU students in the hopes that it creates a sense of belonging for them at our institution. And so the biggest thing, I work with undergraduate students to make these happen, right? They kind of put their vision at the beginning of our planning stages, and then we go through a couple months of planning, and then we deliver these programs for students to get more involved, find things to do in the community on campus, get them out of their residence hall, but it really is at the end of the day an opportunity for them to feel more connected, not only with another peer, but also with the staff and faculty that are at our institution. I'm really passionate about helping students in their transition between high school and college. So whether that is through our programming or assisting in other areas on campus, I really want to make sure that we're setting up our students for success, that they're on the right foot and on the right track when they get to CMU. And that's been any of the institutions I've been at, but currently at CMU, helping students be able to find friends and peers, but again, that overwhelming sense of community and belongingness, and I'd say acceptance too, making sure students feel like they're accepted at our institution. But yeah, that's my job. I really love it. Other things I do in our office, the marketing efforts, and so social media, flyers and things like that. I work with some students to do that outreach, as well as our coordinator of student activities as well.
Cool. I like that. So for any students incoming in, what's some of your favorite programs that those students could look forward to?
Yeah, that's a great question. Not only the programs I plan, but outside of our office as well. So Impact and Leadership Safari, I think, are some of the best programs, not just in our region, but in the country, for real. Impact, if you're unaware, it is a 2.5-day program that it's an immersive experience for first-year students from minoritized backgrounds and marginalized identities to come in and just really get acclimated with a community of folks that look like them. They go through some curriculum with the Impact mentors. They hear from speakers, and they just have a fun time. And then they have the opportunity to, y'all know, transition to Safari, which is very similar but on a larger scale, and for the entire incoming class has the opportunity to go through that program. And truly, we do a good job of setting students up to be on the right track when they start here, at least socially, right? We get students acclimated with one another. That contributes to that sense of belonging from the jump. For real, I don't know any other institutions that have both those programs. I know some who have some similar extended orientations that do very similar things. I actually was a part of helping create one at Alma College just down the road from us. But yeah, I would say those two programs, and then Main Stage, when we get to that program, Main Stage is that big student involvement fair that we have around 350 student organizations that have the opportunity to have a table at Main Stage, plus the offices and departments on campus. And then we bring in local businesses and nonprofits. And so students have all the things at their disposal to go around and check out and see how they can get involved, not just on campus, but in the community as well. There's areas for them to get involved, whether that's service or finding a job while you're a student here. Those programs, to me at least, help our students find a home in their people while they're here at CMU. I mean, we talk about all the time helping students find a home. And I think that, I said, I think that those are some of the best opportunities for students to be able to do that. And then you flash forward to Get Acquainted Day, which is very similar. But a lot of our multicultural student organizations have the opportunity to set up a table and be more intentional about finding their community within those communities. So Yeah, I think CMU does a good job, but I would say those are probably my favorite.
Okay.
What about y'all?
So one of my favorites is Sips and Kids Weekend, and Leadership Safari, of course. But this year, Homecoming. For me personally, in high school, I really loved the homecomings. It really just felt like something you would like see on a movie or something like that. And then I went to community college, and then when I came here, I had fun as a student my first 2 years, but it wasn't until I got involved with planning homecoming where I really was like, yo, like this is that feeling that I'm looking for. So
Yeah.
homecoming was definitely one of those number one programs or things that I really enjoyed here on campus.
Yeah, that's facts. I don't know. There was something about this year's homecoming that was just different. Like the whole campus community was here. Like they were ready to go, and alumni coming back. Like homecoming is not just a student activities initiative. Like it's a whole campus thing. Whether it's like the academic departments that are welcoming people back, or that's alumni that's welcoming people back. This year just felt different. Like I don't know, the atmosphere on campus was high energy and charged, and I think that's also credit to the stuff that y'all did on the committee. So yeah. Awesome. About you?
Yeah, I mean, homecoming was super cool. It was the 100th this year, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was a big moment as well. But it was really nice to see our community come together.
That's right.
And I don't think we've seen homecoming like that since before COVID. And I think we're slowly have been getting back to that point.
Yeah,
and this year, your crew, all these students did an awesome job putting it on. So, you attend CMU currently, or you're looking to, definitely check out homecoming next year. So it's always such a good time to see the festivities. It was beautiful out this year, too. Usually is around that time of year. So that definitely helps. My favorite programs, oh, man, there's so many. I'll give you one that's unique to CMU and one that is on other college campuses if you're viewing, but we do really well here at CMU as well. The first one's being the Connections Conference. Super fun. A bunch of students, we get to go up to Traverse City and learn how to build community and the impacts of that, as well as you get to attend breakout sessions and hear from a multitude of different professionals within higher education, but also other backgrounds as well that present at this conference. And so it's really cool. It's really a good glimpse into what a professional conference looks like, because those aren't always ample or those opportunities aren't always there. And so this is a really cool way for students to do that. Yeah. And people to present things that they're passionate about, revolving around leadership and community. And then probably my favorite program I've attended as a student was Leadership, the Leadership Institute, which is on many different college campuses across the country. CMU is one of them. It's just a really cool community, about, what would you say, 60 students or so. That's actually where Mello and I think we talked about it before, got this idea kind of for the show where we met and created this idea. And so, but you get to create a vision for the world, and there's so much more to it. You're in a community group, and Leadership's tagline is having a healthy disregard for the impossible, because really you're setting these kind of moonshot visions, but in that moment you really see that they are possible and achievable, and how do we work at those when we get back to our busy lives. So those have been probably my favorite.
Yeah, cool. Leadership's dope.
Yeah, cool time. So definitely attend those if you're here, or find those experiences wherever you're at. But yeah, those are super awesome. So you mentioned sense of belonging, right? I think that's a phrase that's been used a lot around the sphere of working with students. How can leaders actually cultivate a sense of belonging in their organization or in their involvement? And also, what does that mean to you? Because I think it means something different to different people.
Yeah, I do think sense of belonging means something different. To me, at least, I like to look at sense of belonging as an opportunity to feel accepted in like the arena that you're in. So, and that you feel like you're a part of it, right? It's not just showing up to, at least in like my perspective, it's not just showing up to a program and attending it, but it's showing up to a program and feeling like you're a part of something, that you can get engaged with other individuals based off of that, right? If we look at sense of belonging on like a college campus, a lot of that stems from feeling like you're connected to the institution. You feel like you're supported by the institution, not just like our administration that makes a lot of the decisions, but you're supported by your peers, you're supported by the faculty, and you're supported by the staff. Sense of belonging can also look like finding people that have similar identities as you. So you're building affinity to the institution, but you're building affinity to other individuals on this campus. You're finding your community. And so I think that's a big thing when it comes to choosing a college that you want to go to. That's why things like your orientation program and Impact and Safari are so important, so that incoming students are able to find their community before they even start classes. Like They're going to step foot on this campus, and they may not understand or know what's going on, but at least they are connected and can feel like they're not alone in that process, right? Lots of times we see in higher education students who haven't formed a sense of belonging may choose to transfer or like not come back. And that's what we want to avoid, not just for the fact of like we want that student to be here and be engaged, but we want individuals to graduate. Like we want them to obtain their degree. If it's not, particularly at CMU, we still want people to graduate. But when it's at CMU, we want to celebrate as much as we can because we know that those 4 or 5, however many years, is hard to do, right? That getting a degree is not easy. There between your classes, balancing time for that, job, organization, and just being a human, like finding time for mental well-being and things like that. So that's why we say sense of belonging is important. There is research out there that does show like students who are involved and engaged on their campus tend to graduate at higher rates, and that I like to think, and there is research to back it up, that students who are actively engaged, whether it's on campus or in the community, form that sense of belonging, and that then retains them year after year. Like think about the organizations that y'all are in or were in when you were a student, and you wanted to continue to be a part of them every year after year, and those kept bringing you back to CMU. Like I think back to my time being in Leadership Safari. Like I always thought, once August comes, I got to be back on campus for Safari. Like that was something that connected me. But it was also the people that I met along the way that I wanted to continue to be around and be a part, because it made me feel like I was a part of something bigger than myself, right? Not just the classes that I'm taking, not just the organizations, but the people. Like I felt really connected to the people. I've now had the opportunity to work at 3 different institutions, all of different types. So small liberal arts private school, a big Power 5 institution, and now CMU is a mid-major institution. And each of them do, stress the sense of belonging. But I find like at this mid-major size, at least for me, like there's an even more intentionality to do so, because there's opportunity for that community feel. Like it's not too small, it's not too large, but it's like right in the middle of being able to feel like you're a part of the community. So yeah, sense of belonging to me like really is the acceptance piece of feeling like you're accepted. We want students to feel like they can see themselves in the programs, but at the end of the day, like students are human. Like we're all human. Like we have our moments of doubt and not feeling like this is for us and things like that. So then those individuals who are thinking that, how do we get them connected so that way they do feel like they're a part of this campus community? Like I've seen it far too often where students leave because they don't feel like a part of it, and to me that sucks. I don't know if I can say that, but it sucks. It sucks. Like when people don't feel like they're meant to be in this community, or that there's like something out there that's better for them or different for them. Honestly, some of this is on the students to feel like they can go out and do it, but that's on the staff as well to make sure that we are providing adequate and safe spaces on our campus so that people can feel like they can come express themselves, show who they are. Like if you're someone who has a big faith, like you shouldn't be afraid to show that. Or if you're someone who is a part of a community, or you have different interests, like you should be able to show that, because this college campus, that's what it's all about, like being who you are, and then how that can also shape your career and the trajectory that you go. So that was a lot, but like sense of belonging, it's something that I'm really passionate about. Like I'm in my doc program right now, and I am currently researching the influence of the co-curricular experience on first-year undergraduate Black and African American students, and like how that leads to their sense of belonging. Look at that co-curricular experience. So, yeah, I'm really passionate about this, and I'm excited to see whatever happens. But that's a good question.
I would like to chime in too as a student.
Yeah, for sure.
Growing up, like in high school, I think actually, I experienced this twice. Freshman year of high school, I kind of wanted to transfer because I didn't really feel like that sense of belonging. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I had to kind of, like, find those people or get involved in those things. And then, like, throughout those 4 years, like, I really felt like, oh, man, like, this is my school, like, cool. And I graduated, went to community college, instantly got a job it was called the Learning Commons. So people are coming in and out every single day. I'm seeing the same people. Like that was my community. And I graduated, transferred here, and I had the same thing happen where I was like, oh yeah, this is so fun. But then that dawned on me, and I didn't even know that the term sense of belonging was a thing. Even though I experienced it my freshman year of high school, I didn't know that there was like a word for that, and because I just wasn't aware of it. But it wasn't until I got here where I started feeling that. And then Allie Richards, like, I ended up gravitating to her, and she gave me that sense of belonging here to allow me to like stay. And she gave me like that sense of like, you can be here and do this and do that. And after that, I started getting involved in a lot of other things. And then I like took a step back to reflect, and I'm like, wow, like if it wasn't for her like telling me this or that, I probably would have left,
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're speaking on this so passionately, because as an African American male in an institution, I did not know that was like a thing that students struggle with. Like, I thought people just transferred because their grades were bad or they didn't make friends. Like, I didn't know it was rooted in like not really feeling like you belong in that community.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for sharing that. And I think, especially that testimony, sharing about Allie, there's so many students who share that same story of like not feeling like you're connected, and then you meet somebody and they pour into you, and they empower you, and they make you feel like you belong. And on the flip side of that, there's students who don't get that experience, and I think that we need to help students understand that they can seek those out. Like, I know I'm not going to be able to come across every student, but there are other Noah Burks on campus. Like, there are other individuals who you can go to, that you can like seek mentorship and guidance from, or just like camaraderie, like to chill. I'm a young professional, still relatable, quote unquote part of Gen Z. Don't know necessarily that I am, but but yeah, like I'm still relatable, can still understand what y'all are going through, especially because like I'm only 4 years removed from being an undergrad, so it's still kind of fresh. And understand the struggles that it is to be a student. And if there's one thing like people take away from this, just like know that there are staff and faculty that would absolutely love to be able to mentor and pour into you to help you create a sense of belonging here.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've talked about the aspect and the power of mentorship a few times on the show already. We've had a couple professionals who really do a lot of that within their work, really passionate about it, and it is so important, right? I think that's why it's a common theme that keeps coming up. What about those students that are looking for that, but we don't know how to go about it, or maybe a little bit shy or nervous? Because I think that's a common thing we see is, you can say, hey, well, you're struggling in your class, we'll go to your professor's office hours or go to this department, but people might not be willing or ready to do that yet. What are ways that we can help, not just, from a professional lens, but with our peers as well, right? For students listening, how can they encourage their peers to find that sense of belonging and create that so it's more of a, a known thing around campus?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that's easier said than done sometimes, to build up that courage to go talk to your professor or go talk to a staff member, because it can be daunting. Like, lots of time people don't like to ask for help because people don't like to show that they're struggling, but that is the beauty of being a human, is that we all struggle and we all have opportunities to grow and to learn. And I think that taking a leap of faith of going talk to your professor, going and talking to staff members that are here to assist you, is something that will go a long way. Like, they have years of experience, they have opportunities to share with you, and just like general guidance. And if it's your professor, like, they don't get a lot of people that come to their office hours. I can't speak for all of them, but like my professors when I was a student would always talk about how they don't really have a lot of students that come to their office hours. So it really is an opportunity to intentionally get to know your staff member as well as your faculty member, and like what they do, right? Or even like how they can assist you in that class, because that's their job. Like, they want to be able to do those types of things. So students just don't really take advantage of it. But if I were to give advice, it would definitely like take that leap of faith. Like, it's definitely, like I said, it's hard. Like, you got to go out of your comfort zone. But there's so much growth when you do step out of that comfort zone. Like, there are things that can blossom in your life. There are things that can blossom in your schoolwork. You can get a better understanding of what's going on in the classroom or even outside the classroom because you did take that chance. And that also, I'll relate this even back to getting involved on campus. Like, there are students who their preference is to spend time in their residence hall inside their room. That is for some, and people like to do that. But I think that taking a risk and an opportunity comes up, to go all in on it and to meet new people and understand what else happens on campus outside of your classroom and outside of your residence hall room is another opportunity to take that step of courage and head in that trajectory. So yeah, but as a student, what would you say? I mean, why do you think that students may be apprehensive to talking with their faculty or staff?
Well, I always say this too, especially when I was an orientation mentor, is a lot of times when you go like on a tour somewhere or whatever, they always go, any questions? It's like sometimes people don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
So sometimes even going back to what I just brought up, they might not even be aware of it. It might just be like a subconscious thing. Like, I just want to be kind of secluded, be all in my own space. There's times even with me as a person who's very involved on campus, like I walk around, people say hi to me. There's a part of me that's like, man, I wonder what it would have been like to just be cooped up in my dorm and just kind of be to myself.
Yeah.
Because, the word ambivert, which is like you're introvert at one moment, you're extrovert at another moment. Like, I have my introverted moments, but then there's some times where I feel like I'm forced to be extroverted, and I feel like some people, it's really just like a comfort level thing. Like, I guess prime example, like when I go off to my journey, like, I mean, I would want to have a good community, but I don't want everyone knowing what I got going on. I kind of want to be to myself. I think being to yourself is somewhat of a sense of security, because that's all you know.
That's fair.
And I understand when students, because especially me, like, I be promoting every event on campus, every program on campus, and I don't see nobody show up sometimes. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And I'm like, man, this person said they were going to come and then they didn't. It's probably because at one moment they were like, I'd rather just stay at home. I've done that where I didn't want to do leadership spark, because I'm like, this ain't for me. Like, I'd rather just stay at home. And I took that leap and I was like, wait a minute. Like, I actually do kind of like this. So kind of to answer your question, I think students are, they know what they know, and that's what they feel comfortable with. So that unknown can kind of prevent them from taking that first step. Yeah. But once they take that first step, they're like, wait a minute, this is actually fun. Yeah. But I guess the real question is, how do you even convince them to take that first step?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would, and to speak to your other point of like, sometimes you just want to stay at home. I will definitely agree with that. Like, there's a human component, obviously, to being a student. Sometimes we need to recharge. Like, the days of going to class, the days of, being a participant in this program or that program, like, you do just need to stay home and recharge. So I understand that side as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we really push, at least here at CMU, getting involved, the importance of involvement. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I will say on the other side of that, I think that we have a lot that's going on, so it can be a little overwhelming to pick and choose, what you want to go to. But yeah, I do think that we do stress and try and just talk a lot about being involved, so that way students want to build memories, or at least we want them to build memories from their college experience. And at CMU, because there are opportunities outside their residence halls, and to form that sense of belonging, we really want students to know that they have something to do. I mean, you can see in I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but the parent supporter Facebook page, there's often
talk about it. Let's be real.
Have you talked about? Hey,
no,
bro.
We haven't, but
okay. So I mean, this is a sidebar chat, but I had a professor in undergrad who's he actually wrote a book about this, but his philosophy was the pedagogy of real talk. And so what that means is like you should be real with people. And so I'll keep it a buck on here. But like in the parent supporter Facebook page, what I oftentimes see is that there are parents who will go on there and or supporters that will talk about that there's nothing happening on campus. And I'm like, well, my office is hosting a program literally tonight, and we hosted one 2 days ago. And I know that like some of our campus partners are hosting programs. So what do you mean? And so I think that there's also oftentimes this like notion that there's not anything going on, but there is. But students just don't know where to find it, like the access to it. So many of our student organizations post their events on their Instagram page. I mean, we have a platform called Engage Central, but not everyone posts their events on there. And so when you post it on your Instagram page, not everyone's following that account. And so how we can help these people amplify what's going on campus is something that we want to do, because we know that there's community in each of these individual events that are taking place. Lots of times we have events on campus that are geared towards a specific community. So I think like our multicultural academic and student services office, and even the overall umbrella of the Center for Student Inclusion and Diversity, they host a lot of programs specifically that are catered and geared towards a demographic of individuals, yet they're open to the entire campus community. And so we want to do that so those people can find their community, but a lot of that is a retention piece. Like, we want students to come back year after year, and if they can form some type of connection, then we can almost not necessarily guarantee, but it's a higher chance of them being retained at the institution because they are like feeling like they're a part of something. And it also brings students like back to more and more programs throughout the duration of the year. So I think that's probably the piece of why we do these things. But also like the undertones of that is the genuineness of wanting students to feel connected. As a staff member, Skiles knows this. At the end of the day, our goal is to make sure that students are supported, are successful, and that they graduate. Whatever happens in the midst of all of that, it's up to them, but also up to us to assist them in making sure that they are successful and that they do graduate. I would think the sidebar of that is the opportunity to make those memories. And that's what people hold on to. Like, I can think back to my undergraduate experience and be like, I remember this one class and this one professor and it sucked. But I think more about the memories of the fun and engaging moments, the opportunities to grow as a leader through the Leadership Institute that have shaped who I am today. And I'm sure y'all share pretty similar stories. But yeah, I think that's probably why we express that. What would you say?
No, I mean, I definitely think, I mean, going off of what you were sharing, the piece of involvement is huge, and I think there is sometimes that notion, or there's so much going on, it can be overwhelming, right? What do I pick to do? And I also think sometimes, like, I think what we've seen through, at least my experience of being a student, you know, starting my college experience and 2 years in going into a pandemic, right, where everything changed. We've all experienced that in some way, and then coming out of that, but then also going into my professional career, like, how can we balance? And it's probably similar to you. I mean, you were doing grad school during that time, but like, how can we bring these traditional programs that maybe we really enjoyed as students or that people really enjoyed, but also cater them to students today? And I think that's been one of the most challenging pieces, is because the way we get that is by people showing up and getting that data, right, or that we call it, or assessing those experiences. But it's hard to do that as well when people maybe aren't aware of things. And so kind of spinning off into, I think our next question is, because you have that background in marketing, right? You market a lot of these big events for campus. That's a busy world, right, as well. There's so much, whether it's advertisement or so much posting going on social media. If that is where the eyeballs are at, do you have any tips of how you can stand out in that programming to drive that student engagement to your actual program in person?
As in, like, the marketing for it?
Yeah. Do you have any tips in that area? Or have you seen anything that's worked for you?
Post your stuff
trends?
more than a week in advance.
Okay. Week in advance.
More than a week in advance, so that students are aware and that they can put it on their calendar. I would say consistency is also key in this. Like, I know Mela does a lot. Do you do marketing? Do you help out with?
A little bit.
Yeah. So
mostly Mela, though.
Consistency is like key. Like, students see something once, or I mean, I will even say this too. Like, if I don't have something on my calendar, it ain't happening. So I will forget if it's not on my calendar, and I think that's just potentially human nature. I'm not the type of guy where I'm like writing stuff down all the time. It's either going in my reminders on my phone or it is going in my calendar. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like, when it comes to the marketing efforts, there's also a piece of that is also an opportunity to build inclusivity, right? Starting with the pictures that you use in this stuff. I am not the type of human that's going to be tokenizing anybody in our marketing, so I'm going to ask people if we can use their picture in our marketing efforts. But on the flip side of that, yeah, definitely post things earlier in advance. I think when it actually comes to the critiquing of what you're posting, have those large fonts, the things that really draw people's eye. You can use your bright colors and things like that, but have like the large fonts of the date and time and the location so that people are well aware of that. Oftentimes I'd see a lot of posts where it's like location TBD. Get your logistics figured out too. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to marketing efforts, consistency really is key. You see it across just about everything. Like, say your favorite artist is coming into town, you start seeing marketing everywhere for them. That's a little different form, but like on social media, at least like it's consistent. So yeah, that's what I would say. And I think influencers probably say the same thing. I'm definitely not an influencer, but with that marketing that I do for my role right now, like we at least have to post pretty regularly so students do know what's happening on campus and what to look forward to. So like, for example, we just posted something about save the date for spring main stage. That doesn't happen until January, but we're at least getting on people's radars now. And I know y'all probably do very similar things as well.
Yeah.
But
so being proactive, essentially,
Proactive for sure.
and being intentional on what you're putting out there, right?
Yep.
Is the big keys. I mean, this has been a great interview so far. I think we have only a couple questions left. We always like to ask this question because every professional or every person on this show, student, whoever it may be, has a different answer. But what is one of your biggest pieces of advice for the viewers related to leadership or just in general, life advice?
Yeah. I think my biggest piece of advice when it comes to leadership or just being a leader in general, like it is for everybody. There is a component of leadership in everybody and really in anything. Like you can be the most extroverted individual. You can be an introverted individual. There's opportunities for you to be a leader embedded in the things that you do. So whether it's like you're in the classroom and there is a professor who asks for someone to hand out the piece of paper, everyone gets a piece of paper. That is demonstrating some form of leadership to be the person to take the initiative and say, yeah, I'll do this for you. Or when it comes to maybe your student organization, whether you are a member of the organization or you hold a role on like your executive board, there's leadership embedded in all of that. Thinking about like students who we've got individuals in our office who work our front desk. There's incredible leadership in that as well. You're gaining skills that are lifelong, but then you're also having the opportunity to connect with individuals and helping them navigate, what they need to do for their student organization or for a program that we've got coming up, or just genuinely answering any of those questions. And so know that in the things that you have and the opportunities that come up, there is a chance for that leadership to come out. Like, don't feel like that's all positionality. I think we get caught up oftentimes in hierarchy too much, where, if you are the person above by title, that they're the leader and things like that. I'm not the type of person that buys into hierarchy. Like, I think people know this about me. I think that we are one CMU, we are a community, and at the end of the day, we all have the same task, at least for a staff member. And so I don't love hierarchy. Respect it, especially in those moments where it has to be a thing, but I don't love it because I really want us to be on the same playing field because we have the same mission, right? And so... yeah, I would say my biggest piece of advice, know that and sometimes you got to like actually think about how that's a component of leadership. Thinking about like servant leadership. Like if you are printing things out for a program that's about to happen, or you're printing things out for your class project, you stepped up to do something. And so there are elements of leadership that are in that. And sometimes we got to think a little bit more about like what those were, but they're there. Like I promise that they're there. So know that if you are looking to articulate how leadership has come out in your experience as a CMU student, or just a college student, or just a human, I would say as well. Like, there are areas that those do show up. I think we think about leadership as, like I mentioned, like the titles and things like that, but nah, I mean, leadership can really come through based off of the things that you are doing to help out for the success of something that's bigger than just you, right? So yeah, I would say that's probably one of my biggest pieces of advice, at least for either incoming students or current students that are here right now, even staff, faculty that are at the institution. Know that you are a leader at times that you might not think that you are, but you really are. And people will gravitate towards that.
So one thing you said is like there's leadership in everything, and I totally agree with that. It doesn't necessarily have to have the title of leadership, but like you said, passing out those papers and stuff like that. Or like I even can go as far as for those students who are introverted and they want to stay in their dorm and stuff like that, like we mentioned before, like there's leadership within yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you going to allow like the world around you to kind of tell you what to do with your life, or are you going to take control over your life? And I think that's something that could be hard for students because they're forming their identity, they're learning, they're trying to figure out what they really want to do with their life. There's some people who go to college to be a doctor and they don't even want to be a doctor. You know, they're just going to college because their parents told them this and whatever. So I believe that college gives you the opportunity to develop a leadership skill within yourself, you know, for yourself. You know, and not saying it in a selfish way because we have community, but, you know, like everyone else says, how can you fill someone else's bucket if you don't fill yours first? So I definitely agree that like leadership is in everything, even if that word isn't plastered everywhere. I think students just have to kind of have that self-realization that this is my life and I have to take control over it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, like you just kind of shared the point that Noah made a little bit ago of like sometimes you just have to dig and find where that leadership is, or what does that mean to you too. And to your point, I know we've mentioned this before, but it's like you have to lead yourself right before you can lead other people. The same thing about, you know, you can't pour into other people if you don't pour into yourself. And so again, thinking about that and what does leadership mean to you as an individual, and that's a journey that I think we all and continuously will continue to discover as we gain new experiences and ideas and have different go through different situations. And so I think it's just important that as you do that, as that reflective piece, right, of who am I as a leader, where do I want to be as a leader, and what can I do about it to grow.
Absolutely.
Everyone's favorite part of the show now, we're bringing back the mellow moment. So if you don't remember what that is, last time on our show we had a professional that left a question for Noah. Noah doesn't know who it is, and that professional didn't know who was coming up next. So Melo's going to ask that question. You're going to give us your answer, and then we're going to give you the opportunity to ask the next person a question.
All right.
Good? You ready for this?
That's crazy.
Yeah. You like that? Okay. All right.
So, we had ESG on the show. Erin Smith-Gagan.
That's my girl.
Yep. And she asked, what is the hardest piece of feedback you've received in your leadership journey? What did you do about it? The result.
Yo, ESG, what? What was her question? That's mine, because that's crazy.
There you go.
Man, my hardest piece of feedback. Honestly, it was recent. I would say it was recent. I went for a position and didn't get it. And so I was talking with one of my mentors about it, being like, I've been in this before. Like, why am I not getting over the hump? You know, you prep for interviews and stuff like that, and you don't get the position. And so, what they had told me was like, essentially for me to think about where would I have gone next. Like, it's not the fact that of not being ready; it's the fact of where would I have gone next. And I had to really sit with that, being like, thinking about the trajectory of my career, and sometimes a no is good, like to be beneficial for you. And for me, I am a believer, so I love the Lord, right? And I think that He really does. His timing is more important than my timing. And the feedback was, hit you in the gut because you're like, I really did feel like I was equipped and ready, but at the end of the day, like, there may be potential other doors that open up because there was a no that was given to me, and who's to say that they would have offered it to me and I would have said yes and then been miserable, right? And I think that's like oftentimes, you really got to think critical about decisions that you make as a leader, because it truly is like a butterfly effect or the domino effect of this decisions you make can lead to a numerous amount of outcomes. And for me, I needed that no to be able to tell me that there's something greater for me, and that whatever is for my destiny and my trajectory is going to be better than what could have been, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that feedback, it's hard to take because like you're already feeling down and then people kind of kick you in the teeth. But with that, what I'm doing is like I'm just continuing to learn and grow and prep myself for whatever may come next, and whatever may be another leadership opportunity for me to develop as a leader and as a human, and even more so as a professional, whether it's on this campus or it's a different campus. And I'm going to also apply that to like other areas of my life. Like when I hear a no when it pertains to like me, I'm going to look at that as there may be other opportunities, and for me at least, to grow. And I hope that other people also do similar things, like know that there are positives within that no that's given to you. So yeah.
I think for me, I agree with that. It took me to deal with a lot of life experience to realize that. I don't want to just say like, oh, it took me getting older, but yeah, basically it took me getting older, because when I was younger, those no's or those rejections, they hurt because it's in the moment. That's all that's all you're thinking about.
Right.
But then as I got older, I started to add on every word that started with R with that. So like rejection is reflection and redirection and whatever else, you know what I mean?
Bars.
So you reflect on, well, why did this opportunity say no to me, or why was there a this, or was I, or was they, kind of thing. So like that's the reflection part. And then the redirection part is like you said, like there is probably a better opportunity out there that I don't even know about. But I think for students and honestly anybody at any age, it can be very hard because it's the thing you're so focused on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're kicking a field goal and you miss and it bounce off the the goal, but then your teammate kicks it back and it scores and you still get the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, and maybe if you would have kicked it and it would have went somewhere else, it probably would hit a team member in the head or injure somebody, or it probably would have never even went in the first place. So it's probably a good thing that they hit the goal post or whatever it's called and bounce back, so your team member could hit it in there for you to, as a team, to get the goal. I guess that's kind of a odd analogy, but you know what I mean. Like in that moment, I think that person playing that sport would be like, wow, like I missed, but you still got the point. You just got the point a different way.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Yeah, I love your analogies, Mello. Let me say that. You should have a segment for that. 'Cause Mello's analogies are fire. But truly, like I think that is really important. Like you still got to where you were aiming, right?
Exactly.
It was just a different route. So for me, like my career trajectory of what I want to happen. Not to say that's what's going to happen, because the Lord's got better plans, always does. But what I would like to be is a part of an administration at like a college or university somewhere, whether that is a vice president, particular student affairs, or if that is like an assistant vice president. That's like what I want for myself. And who's to say that this no would, or if I would have got this, I should say, that it would have led to that. Because like I said, where would I have gone from this position? Because it wasn't potentially the path that would lead me to where I want to go. And so having a different route or things altered within what you thought was the perfect plan can be a good and positive thing, because at the end of the day, if you reach that goal or reach whatever that you're trying to get to, then you made it. Like regardless of you had an easy path or a path that went like wavy and went like this, or up and down, like you still made it to that, and you can look back on all the things that shaped you to getting there. And whether that shaped you into the leader that you are, the human that you are. And when you get to that achievement, you really can rest and be like, I made it, right?
Yep.
Or like I would like to say, leadership ain't just about me. Like, it's about the people that I bring along with me. So then I can say, we made it, right? So yeah, I love that analogy. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, so now you got to propose a question.
On the spot?
We give you some time to think about it if you want to.
Bro, I may have to integrate AI into this and use ask ChatGPT. Yo, what's a question for the next person? Do I get to know who it is?
We don't even know who it is.
Wow. Wow. ESG really did ask a hard hitter, so I don't appreciate you, but I still love you at the end of the day. But I think whoever comes next, I would like to know what sense of belonging means to them and how they go about it in their day-to-day approach to the workplace. Just so you all can get a different perspective than just from me, but then others can learn how other individuals on this campus or whoever you choose to bring on next. If it's a student, would love to know their perspective of like how sense of belonging shows up in their day-to-day life as a student, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have to tune in to find out who that professional is, what they're going to answer that question, and if they can think of an answer on the spot quicker than this guy. But
okay.
So we'll cut that piece out. That's
keep that in there.
We'll keep that in there. Okay, we'll keep that in there. Noah, thank you for being on the show today. Where can people find you, real quick?
As in social media or like physically on campus? Okay. Yeah. You can find me in the Bovey University Center. I work in UC 107, which is in the lower level of the University Center. So if you're a student here at CMU, checking out this podcast, feel free to come stop by. I'm in my office. I have a couch, so if you need to just like chill and hang out, more than willing to do that with you. But you can find me on, the gram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. My handle on, I think the gram is Noah_Burks51. Same thing on Twitter. So feel free to just give me a follow. DM me. I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you might have. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Well, again, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciated your insights, learning with you today. Mello, it's always a great time, obviously, being on the show. Thanks for viewing, and yeah, we'll hope to see you next time. And in the meantime, keep leading the way. Take care.